This is, speaking of, no, speaking of the right wing creating conspiracies, and that this comes not only in this relationship between the producers and the audience and these like sort of smaller producers and Fox. Here you have a politician promoting this garbage and then also being allowed to present it on non-bat crap crazy stations simply because of their status, right? Like, oh, he's a senator, so we're going to let him say whatever he wants. We saw this on MSNBC too. Chuck Todd had this guy on. He said the same bullcrap and was not essentially laughed off. This is the functional equivalent. What was that guy's name? Jeffrey Lord. Like this is, if Jeffrey Lord said this, you would see some pushback. There is zero evidence for what we're about to hear Cory Gardner say. I mean, this guy's already trying to, protect his reelect, or I don't know. When is this guy up for, did he just win an election, Cory Gardner? He did not. This sounds like a guy who's afraid of a primary challenge. That's what it sounds like.
Turn out the papers.
Here is Cory Gardner, senator from Colorado, correct? On CNN's State of the Union.
Because, a vote that's cast in Yuma shouldn't be disqualified under the same provision that qualifies a vote in Maricopa. A legally cast vote, wherever it is legally cast, should count the same, not with differing standards amongst the offices.
I know, but your organization accused an election official of cooking the books, and I don't see any evidence of any illegality. There are questions about, if you want to get technical here, about what emergency voting is in Maricopa County. The law is very vague. Maricopa County set up 4 emergency voting stations before Election Day. 2 of them, by the way, in Republican areas, Mesa and Scottsdale. And different counties interpret that vague law in different ways. That's not cooking the books. And I keep hearing the organization you chair accuse people of breaking the law, and I don't see evidence of it.
Yeah, if you're a voter in Arizona and you cast a vote in Yuma and you cast a vote in Phoenix, legally you did it the same, and your vote in Yuma is disqualified, your vote in Maricopa is not disqualified. Is that fair?
I defer to the.
Is that fair?
I prefer to the governor and the Secretary of State of Arizona. They're both Republicans, and they say everything is going according to how it should be going. Now, if you have issues with county by county election processes, whether it's in Florida or Arizona, then I don't want to stand in the way of you introducing legislation saying every state has to do it the exact same way. But if the Republican governor
I'm not talking about federalizing elections. I'm talking about the state of Arizona.
I bet you're not.
Legislation. I think federalizing the elections would be a bad idea. I think making sure that if you're in Arizona, that the
pause it. Let's be clear on what's going on here. And this is the same thing that they argued in Florida in 2000 too, which was you can't recount these ballots that got screwed up in this in West Palm Beach, because what about the guys in the Panhandle? How come they don't get a recount? This is sheer BS, and good for Jake Tapper for calling him out. Sheer BS. We're going to keep playing it, but the idea of avoiding the solution to this. If you really think it's a problem, remember, the election's controlled by Republicans in Florida and in Arizona. And if you really think it's a problem, why not federalize it? You just made a good case. If it's true with someone in Zuma and Maricopa, why shouldn't it be true with someone in Maricopa and Albany? Or in, I don't know, Chattanooga? Continue.
I think federalizing the elections would be a bad idea. I think making sure that if you're in Arizona, that the vote you cast legally counts. I think that's what we're trying to do. That's what was reached.
Sure.
That's the agreement that was reached in Arizona, and I think that's a good outcome.
But where's the evidence that anybody was cooking the books?
Well, we had evidence that people were treating ballots differently. And again, this is about the integrity of when you go and cast a ballot. You don't expect yours to be disqualified under a provision that would allow a ballot to be counted somewhere else. I don't think that's fair. And so that's exactly what we're trying to do.
Whose ballots were being disqualified? My understanding of the situation is that what happened was in Maricopa County, they had 4 emergency voting stations set up in the county. By the way, it's a county that Joe Arpaio won. I mean, it's a mixed county, and Republicans and Democrats both can win in that county. And that's what happened. It's not like people in Yuma County were not allowed to vote. It's just that this elections official set up 4 emergency voting stations throughout the county, including in Scottsdale and Mesa, which are Republican leaning.
Well, I think I've answered the question. We just want to make sure that every vote counts and that every vote that's legally cast is counted.
What?
Cooking the books, exactly.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Cooking the books is another way of saying count all the ballots.
Make sure everybody's vote is fairly
You make
counted.
sure everybody's vote's fairly counted. In a sense, that's fraud against people who lose elections if all votes are counted. So if you think about it, it's basically doubly unfair. Whoa, whoa, whoa,
Look,
whoa, whoa. Federalized elections?
Is making, right. I mean, Cory Gardner's making a great argument as to why we need to federalize elections. And I'll tell you why he doesn't want to do that. He doesn't want to do that for the same reason why the Republicans were adamant about destroying the Voting Rights Act. Because once you actually federalize elections, once you say that we're going to maintain a certain bottom of standards as to what practical ways that people can vote, what are the laws so that they're not confusing, you basically disallow all of the suppression tactics that Republicans use in states by states by states. And so, of course, they don't want to federalize this. Because if they federalize it, I mean, can anybody come up with any reason from a practical standpoint, even from a theoretical standpoint? If you believe that somebody in Zuma or Yuma or wherever in Arizona or in any given state has the same right to vote as somebody else within that state, why wouldn't you say that from state to state?
Competition would start kicking in.
Competition would start
Yeah,
kicking in.
because then there would be an incentive to produce the best voting systems possible. And then the states would compete against each other, and then we would have the most efficient system.
And people
but
would
if you
move-
locked it down with the federal bureaucracy, then innovation would be stifled.
Right.
Boom, suck it.
Right.
Wow.
And
They're
also,
so
I mean,
friggin'
just
easy to be a
it's
libertarian
so-
pundit.
Yeah, but it's so easy to get efficiencies from scale, right? Like you have to recreate this. In
I
every
don't know.
state.
Things just get big and stuff, and that just concerns me.
There
See
you
you
go.
in reason.
Oh my God, Michael, where'd you get that those new leather shoes?
Exactly. Where did you get those Italian loafers? Where
Unbelievable.
did you get that Armani suit
All right,
before it
folks.
was even shipped to these states?